Activision has a long history of rushing out one final game when a license is about to expire. Sometimes you get lucky like Transformers Devastation. Sometimes you get boned like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. This is one of the bonings.
James Bond as a movie franchise has been around for a really frickin' long time. 6 actors have played the super spy in 26 films spanning the last 62 years. And to celebrate the film series' 50th anniversary in 2012, Activision released 007 Legends, a video game paying tribute to Bond's extensive history with levels from each of the different actors to portray James Bond. That's the cover story anyway. In reality, Activision's Bond license was about to expire and they wanted to crap out one last game while they had the chance, especially since the majorly hyped Bond movie Skyfall was releasing the same year. 007 Legends was rushed out in a mere 2 years, with some reports that actual development was crammed into an utterly insane 9 months. Partly because they had to figure out how the hell they were going to jam 6 movies into a single game. Somehow they lost Daniel Craig despite him voicing Bloodstone and the GoldenEye remake. The game was so rushed that it had to ship unfinished. The Skyfall levels had to be delayed and released later as free DLC, only to be lost forever when the game was delisted a mere 2.5 months after launch. The only way to experience the full game today is to play the Wii U version that includes the Skyfall missions by default. Except the Wii U version is notoriously the worst performing platform for the release. The game was abandoned so quickly, I think it's the only Wii U game I've played that doesn't have any patches. If this were shat out any harder, the box would be brown. So let's see what happens when one of the worst publishers in the industry gives you less than a year to adapt 6 movies at once. The game opens with the big sequence from Skyfall's trailer. Bond is chasing some guy on a train when another agent misses a shot and sends him falling into the water. Once he hits the water, Bond flashes back to that time he found a dead woman painted gold in his hotel room. And then we just cut to Bond sneaking into Auric Enterprises to investigate gold smuggling. Okay, what the hell is going on? 007 Legends incorporates the plots of 6 different James Bond films, all presented as flashbacks during Skyfall's events. And we're starting with the Sean Connery representation, Goldfinger. It's a cool idea for fans of the franchise, except the execution is weird. Much like the GoldenEye remake, they overhaul the story and settings to star Daniel Craig's modern James Bond. This pissed off fans who were hoping for a Crisis on Infinite Bonds with all the actors having a reunion, but they couldn't even get one Bond actor back, let alone all 6. But that is so far from the only problem retelling these movies. Bond sneaks into Auric Enterprises by triggering an EMP that makes a plane crash into the buildings so that he can start gunning down henchmen and tear through the installation with abandon. Yeah, I remember when none of that happened in Goldfinger. In the movie, Bond's sneaking is interrupted by a botched assassination attempt so that he gets caught right away and spends the entire rest of the movie captured, utterly failing at everything he tries to stop the bad guy. And you might say that a faithful Goldfinger adaptation wouldn't have made for a good video game. I would retort that they had 6 official Connery movies to pick from. They could have done Thunderball with its infiltration of a shark-infested compound, big underwater battle, and tense fight through a runaway speedboat. They could have done Dr. No, where Bond fights a flamethrower tank. Or You Only Live Twice, and it's siege on a freaking volcano doom lair. But Goldfinger's the iconic one, so whatever. Alright, on with the shooting. The game's aiming controls are complete crap, with wildly oversensitive turning when you aim left or right. I had to turn the aim sensitivity all the way down to make the game playable, which makes your cursor barely move when you try to aim up or down. I get the feeling the devs knew that this controls like shit, because the game has a snap-on aiming mechanic. If you aim at an enemy's general direction and then iron sight aim, the game will lock your cursor onto that enemy even if they start moving. Once you get used to it, the game damn near does all your aiming for you, to the point I could consistently hit enemies that I couldn't even see. Check this out. Dead serious, I did not touch the right stick once through that kill streak. The game did all of that for me. Other problems with the gunplay include submachine guns that scatter bullets to where you can barely land a hit, sporadic hit detection problems where you can empty a full clip into an enemy's face and do nothing, but the most baffling, dead enemies will freeze bolt upright to where it looks like they're still alive. How in the hell does that even happen? It's like the opposite of ragdoll physics. Rigor mortis happened instantaneously. You have a shitload of health, which is good because it feels like half the levels have cover that barely works, but the biggest problem with the gunplay is that the enemies are dumb as dirt. Baddies tend to barely use cover and just march slowly out in the open directly down your line of fire. Enemies with shotguns have no idea how to use them because they're coded like basic enemies, and hardly anyone uses grenades. Probably because grenades barely do anything. The only enemy variety you'll find is the odd sniper, which are vastly weaker than you'd expect, and rocket launchers so rare that I'm pretty sure I could count them on my fingers. So you say this game was rushed, huh? Couldn't tell from the dumb AI cobbled together encounters, lack of variety, and grossly unbalanced shooting mechanics. Oh, and also the jank. Been playing for like 5 minutes, and this is a broken window floating in midair. And that wasn't the only window-related mishap. Well, that death looked painful. Here's a thug shooting 90 degrees in the wrong direction. Here's a goon blowing himself up with his own rocket. Here's a whole building of enemies trying to shoot me through a solid house. Here's a goon trying to shoot me through the ceiling. Here's a goon running in circles. Here are 2 goons teleporting into the map before one phases halfway into a wall trying to reach me. And here's me being stuck in a level because the last enemy didn't spawn correctly. Oh, was this game rushed? I couldn't tell! So in stark contrast to the movie, where Bond gradually uncovers Goldfinger's plans while imprisoned and slowly seduces his minion Pussy Galore into saving the day for— Yes, her name is Pussy Galore! Stay focused! In the game, Bond just learns his whole plan right away and gets Pussy on his side within seconds of meeting her. If you're going to abridge the movies this hard, what is the point of adapting them in the first place? Finally got to the end of that long-ass level. That was like 45 minutes to get up. What the hell do you mean, mission incomplete? There were more objectives? There were trials? I have to fish through an almost hour-long level for how many unmarked collectibles? Okay, maybe those collectibles unlock some really cool extras, like production stills, concept art, and a single crappy picture of a character model. Eat shit. Bond gets captured because we have to recreate one of the most iconic movie scenes of all time.
Goldfinger, do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond. I expect you to die.
Yeah, that's not Daniel Craig doing the voice. Daniel Craig would have bothered to act! And then we cut from the film's first act straight to the climax as Bond is brought along for Goldfinger's siege on Fort Knox, getting rescued by major supporting character Felix Leiter so he can partake in fight scenes that he was absent for in the film. Also, a slight problem. Felix in the Craig movies was played by Jeffrey Wright, who's black! You shattered the films to fit into Craig's continuity, but you left in a walking continuity error. Oh, and through this entire level, Felix is shouting directions at you for what you should do next. Directions that you'll never hear for all the other noise, and the game doesn't have any subtitles. The level just eventually devolves into a whole series of copy-pasted rooms as enemies jump out at you 1 or 2 at a time to where you're never really in danger. I'm just glad that the game got quiet, since the outdoors of Fort Knox are an obnoxious maelstrom of never-ending gunfire. sound editing? What's that? And finally, you get to the final battle with Goldfinger's prime minion, Oddjob. It's quick time events. The bad guy does nothing but block, and you move one of the control sticks up or down with shitloads of time to get it right. Every now and then you dodge a scripted event, and that's it. This crappy poor man's Punch-Out where the bad guy doesn't even hit you is every single boss fight in the game. Oh, did you say the game was rushed? I couldn't tell! You defeat Oddjob, Goldfinger dies in a cutscene, and then we cut to Bond skiing. With a lady named Tracy talking about having stopped Blofeld, who hasn't been mentioned all game. Welcome to, like, the middle of George Lazenby's contribution on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which you are dropped into with zero context whatsoever. You pretty much have to be a die-hard Bond fan to understand anything that's happening. But enough about that. A bunch of ski commandos start chasing you and you have a skiing gunfight that plays like ass! You're constantly moving and need to shoot a bunch of henchmen, but you also fail the level if you fall too far behind Tracy. So if you hit 2 obstacles, you die. And you need the accelerate button glued down or else you lose anyway. Yet there's just about 100 small problems with all that. All the friggin' trees that you need to weave between at top speed while not being able to look where you're going because you need to shoot people. And then the bullshit helicopter drops in and kills you with no warning. Couldn't tell this was rushed. Tracy gets abducted, but some guy you don't know gets a ton of reinforcements to raid Blofeld's headquarters. We're getting assistance from a dude we don't know to save a woman we just met from a villain we've never heard of, and we have to stop the villain from doing we aren't told. And maybe non-fans would be able to follow all of the distorted radio chatter if the game had fucking subtitles!
English, motherfucker! Do you speak it?
Blofeld's hideout is a pretty straightforward level, so we might as well get into the issue that the game is most known for, the stealth. Several areas of the game you're meant to sneak through without getting caught. Your default pistol has a silencer, you can shoot out cameras that dot the levels, you have a melee attack that silently takes down enemies, and you have indicators that show you if you're being spotted and where from. Sounds like a pretty basic setup, except the stealth encounters are virtually impossible! The level layouts and enemy placements make it a freaking miracle if you can shoot one single enemy without getting caught. The entire area gets alerted instantaneously because your target was inside of a guard or a camera that you didn't know was there. Stealth aficionados also hate that you can't hide bodies from the cameras or patrols, but I never made it far enough to where hiding bodies would have helped. Eurocom's own GoldenEye remake generally works the same way as all this, except GoldenEye gives you a warning if your cover's about to be blown, so that you have a chance to take down any alerted goons. GoldenEye's levels are also laid out non-dickishly, to where you only have to worry about a few guards at a time, whereas 007 Legends is just thrown together to where you need to micromanage an entire jam-packed map at once. Seriously, one of the first stealth encounters, you're given a silenced sniper rifle to start picking off the enemies. I got 2 guys before everyone spotted a dead body without warning. Even the one encounter where I stayed out of sight to try and map out the area, I just abruptly got spotted anyway by someone an entire floor below me. A man with no face, I should add. The graphics are not good. The punchline to this whole stealth joke is that the stealth doesn't even matter. Getting caught just triggers another basic shooting encounter, and the shooting is piss easy. They couldn't balance the stealth, so they just made it useless. Oh, was the game rushed? I couldn't tell! While we're on the topic of friggin' useless mechanics, the game has an XP system where you constantly gain experience for completing objectives or using new equipment. So what can you buy with those points? Well, there's a big menu of weapons attachments that you can purchase, compensators that reduce recoil, grenade launchers, and the rest is crap that doesn't do anything. There are multiple flavors of scopes and sights that don't do jack with the busted aiming, silencers for the stealth that doesn't work, extended magazines that give you like 3 or 5 extra bullets so you can put off reloading for 0.3 seconds. You've got automatic mods for guns that are mostly already automatic. Basically anything that doesn't make you shoot straight does nothing. But even if you buy all these weapon attachments, you still can't use them. You can only equip weapon mods at special crates that appear once or twice per 45-minute level. Most of the time you don't even have access to the crap you bought. There are some actual proper upgrades like added health, faster reloads, and resistance to those grenades that enemies never use, but you can only equip 3 buffs at once. So those become a waste of points too. And that's not even getting into the spy watch that you can equip with its seemingly useless radar and its EMP laser that I think gets used twice the entire game. Lots of padded copy-paste rooms and fights later, you kill Blofeld, only not really. Bond and this lady you know nothing about get married, only for Blofeld to kill her. They actually do a decent job of capturing the film's iconic ending with their own subtle tweaks to the original. And then smash cut to Felix having been attacked by a completely different villain. Yeah, we're in License to Kill now, the Timothy Dalton representative. There actually is a strong thematic reason to go straight from Secret Service to License to Kill, but we were doing the actors in order and we skipped Roger Moore. Like, who was this game made for? They make the story incomprehensible unless you're a die-hard Bond fan, and yet they keep doing things that alienate the die-hard Bond fans. Anyway, Felix was attacked and his wife killed by a drug lord named Sanchez, so Bond just marches right into Sanchez's base of operations because we are skipping directly into the movie's climax. On the bright side, though, Felix didn't lose a leg in this version. That's nice. The start of License to Kill also gives you a dart gun shaped like a pen. It fires distraction darts that, I don't know, just take out cameras. Grossly overpowered knockout darts that take out enemies in one hit regardless of where they land. And taser darts that are knockout darts, but funny. Crab walk, you little bitch! The game finally has at least one kind of memorable fight as you shoot your way through some kind of indigenous ruins. Although I had to go back and double check my footage because I've been playing the excellent Everything or Nothing lately, which has this exact same set piece. And it really is hilarious how this entire level is clearly meant to be played in stealth because they keep giving you silenced weapons, yet I keep tripping alarms immediately on pure accident. Like, here's a silenced sniper rifle, here's a stealth level full of patrolling goons, you need to... No, you weren't actually supposed to use that rifle, dumbass! And I just realized that literally every movie in this game has been abridged down to raid the bad guy's hideout over and over again. You sneak around planting bombs in Sanchez's base. Sneak in air quotes, of course. You have absolutely no idea who Sanchez is, but your ally Pam is getting the deets on his operation. You overhear them on a radio so garbled that I couldn't catch a word of it, which wouldn't be a problem if the game had subtitles!
Bond, are you trying to get me killed? You're gonna raise the alarm if you keep shooting everything in sight.
Oh no. Critical stealth section. Blow me! This chunk of the game, you die immediately if you raise an alarm, and because the stealth is so busted, this whole section becomes maddening trial and error. Every friggin' place you go, you get spotted by a new jackhole that you didn't know was there. I'll shoot this guy before he can meet his friend? Fail! Alright, this guy's distracted by my shooting the camera, so I'll trank this guy next to him while he's... Fail! How did... Fine. Alright, the guards on the upper level are finally knocked out. I'll just sneak through the lower level, where there are 4 or 5 guys down there. Fail! Oh! There's a room hidden off to the side with guards that I couldn't see. That's why I was getting spotted at random. Now I can take out these guys and... What the hell just caught me? Seriously, I walked around this entire room. Nobody was looking over here. I never figured out what the hell killed me there. Oh, and you can't shoot the scientists. You have to melee attack them unconscious. Because Bond's not a monster. He won't shoot unarmed henchmen. He'll just leave them unconscious in a building that he's rigged to explode so that they'll all be buried helplessly under flaming debris. You know, the humane thing to do. Bond is told to find evidence that terrorists are working with Sanchez, even though there's an early objective where you have to kill the terrorists that are working with Sanchez. But no, instead you have to bungle around Sanchez's office scanning stuff with your phone. You can use Bond's smartphone to take pictures, look for hackable items, or scan for biological material. It all boils down to a pain-in-the-ass scavenger hunt trying to figure out what the game wants you to interact with. Which is especially annoying in Sanchez's office where there are like 3 indicated interactive spots that do nothing, because the thing that the hacking lens marks is actually a hidden panel that only operates from the back. Just stupid, confusing crap like that. You run Sanchez back out of his hideout and there's a vehicle chase. A piss easy chase where there's basically 0 obstacles in your way. Seriously, they just kind of forgot to program a level here. It looks like random truck simulator cobbled together out of Unity assets that you'd find floating around on Steam for $5. Sonic the Hedgehog would have said these devs needed to slow down. Eventually, Bond climbs onto Sanchez's truck and you shoot away some goons by blowing up ATVs with a handgun. A good thing Bond packed his antimatter bullets today. One more punch-out fight and Sanchez goes down.
No. All this for my friend.
Man, I wish Daniel Craig were in this game. Next, Bond is sent to some kind of ice palace to rendezvous with an American agent named Jinx, because the next movie being adapted is Die Another Day.
Why?
Die Another Day is universally regarded as the worst official James Bond movie ever made. It's the film that killed the franchise so hard that Daniel Craig's Bond needed to be a full-on reboot. So why in the hell are you including it in a game you tout as Bond's most iconic moments? Is it entirely because Die Another Day is the only Pierce Brosnan Bond movie that didn't already have a tie-in game?
It would just be lunacy to have 2 video games based on the same movie, unless that movie's called freaking GoldenEye!
And I bet the devs regretted their choice of movie when it came time to render lighting effects on non-stop ice surfaces that all look like crap. All they tell you is that you're investigating businessman Gustav Graves at a party where he unveils a satellite. And he's obsessed with North Korea because... They don't explain crap about Graves or his motives. See, in the movie, Graves is the son of a North Korean general who is obsessed with taking over South Korea, so Bond was sent in to kill him. He survived and went to America, where he used gene therapy to kill his own bone marrow and change his DNA into a British white guy. He then faked having a diamond mine and became a super genius mechanical engineer and inventor and set up a massive multinational conglomerate so that he could build and launch a satellite super laser. And he did all of this in 1 year because the gene therapy removes your ability to sleep, so he has to use a dream machine for 1 hour a day to keep himself going. Die Another Day is a bad movie! Oh, he also has a minion with diamonds in his face, except the devs couldn't be arsed to render the diamonds in his face, so Voldemort's just on Graves' payroll for no reason. Die Another Day is easily the most phoned-in level so far. A huge chunk of the stage is just walking with your phone. It's the shortest main level at around 30 minutes or a hair under. They cheap out on level design by just making you go back the way you came so you have to play the same map twice. And the level design is so cheap that I just casually strolled through the map, barely ever needing cover. Hell, Jinx in the movie is played by Halle Berry, but instead they made her model look like the obscure runner-up actress who isn't in the movie. What the hell? And don't say that they couldn't license her likeness, because Benicio del Toro looks exactly like Benicio del Toro! I'm starting to think they picked Die Another Day because nobody would care if they phoned it in! You chase down Graves in another driving stage with barely any obstacles, except you're driving on ice with abysmal steering, so... Wait. Push this button for traction control? Why the hell would I not want the thing that makes the game playable turned on? Oh, and crap falls out of the plane's cargo hold to where if you hit a single box, you die and have to sit through another long load screen. Great. You fist fight Graves, only he's got an Iron Man suit that gives him lightning powers.
Die Another Day is a bad movie!
And there's a quick time event where you have a split second to dodge lightning, or else you die and start over. So I have to keep sitting through a long-ass load screen, and also the worst taunt ever.
I'm going to teach you a lesson you won't forget or survive.
Bro, that couldn't have even sounded good in your head. Graves dies. I blundered around a while because the game sometimes forgets to re-equip your weapon. And Bond and Jinx escape so that Bond can sneak into a bad guy lair with space shuttles. Because our next movie is Roger Moore's contribution, Moonraker. Moonraker is the other black sheep of the Bond family because it's the entry where James Bond goes to space to get into laser battles because the producers wanted to cash in on Star Wars at the time. It's a jaw-droppingly goofy entry that leans into the crazy and can be loads of fun for that exact reason, but why was Moonraker chosen when Roger Moore has 7 Bond films to pick from? M actually gives you a detailed breakdown on why you're here, and the level is paced to where you gradually piece together the villain Hugo Drax's plans. They do try to make this level different with automated turrets forcing you to go through side rooms, but it's really just a scavenger hunt on your phone until you figure out the game wants you to work some circuit breakers. Drax has a god complex and wants to remake the world by nuking it with nerve gas from his space station and then repopulating the planet with his hand-picked people. You fight your way to a shuttle through actually pretty tense and memorable set pieces, and holy crap, an actual pre-rendered cutscene for the first time in, like, ever! How is Moonraker the one movie that they clearly put all the effort into adapting? But then we hit the creme de la creme. Bond and Dr. Goodhead make it to Drax's space station, they shut off the artificial gravity, and the rest of this level is a 6-axis shooter. You have a jetpack and a laser rifle with unlimited ammo, and you fly through a space station at 0G, getting into laser battles. I'm not gonna lie, this is the most awesome thing I've seen since Kirby used an Optimus Prime truck to punch an alien god in the face. The devs knew exactly what they wanted out of Moonraker, and they went all out for it. I know that Activision makes Call of Duty and nothing else these days. If there's a COD that plays like this, please let me know. You stop the nerve gas plan and suck Drax out the airlock like he was a xenomorph, but the station is breaking up and exploding everywhere, and Dr. Goodhead calls to warn you that you need to escape. It's time for a thrilling, climactic trek through— oh, wait, what the hell? Bond's just suddenly in some hotel room back on Earth. What the hell just happened? Alright, we're in Skyfall. Remember when I said that 007 Legends was released unfinished? Well, this is why. If you're playing the Xbox, PlayStation, or PC version of the game, the campaign just friggin' cuts off in mid-station explosion. It literally goes from frantic, "The space station is blowing up and we need to escape before it's too late," credits. No ending, no final cutscene wrapping up Moonraker. You don't cut back to Bond actually getting out of that dream water from the start of the game. It just stops. And if you're playing the Wii U version, it cuts from, "Holy crap, we're in space and the bad guy's dead, but the space station's exploding and we need to escape before," random dude's apartment. 2 people are dead. Chase the stupid bad guy. It is the most whiplash I think I've ever had playing a game. So here's the main event. How are the Lost Skyfall expansion levels that you can only play on the Wii U version? They are hot garbage. It starts with Skyfall's cold open, where Bond chases a hitman over some rooftops, except the roofs are infested with crap loads of enemies shooting you from multiple different directions off screen at all times. And there's little to no usable cover, and they saddle you with some of the worst weapons in the game. Then you get on a motorcycle to chase through a series of streets with hysterically cheap animations of a sea of copy-paste cutout people jumping out of the way. You drive over a roof dodging obstacles, and then you drive down a street with loads of buses blocking off the entire road at once. You get basically zero reaction time, and if that wasn't bad enough, bad guy cars that whip out of nowhere crashing into you constantly. What?
James, I'm going to try and get ahead of him.
Oh, Jesus! Oh, come on! Would you cut that out? Oh, go screw yourself! And the sad thing is, even dying constantly, this level only took me 20 minutes. It is so pathetically short. They get back to the opening where Bond gets shot off the train and falls into the water, and he just washes up on shore. And then suddenly you're in Shanghai, still after Patrice like nothing happened. Yes, 007 Legends, bringing you such iconic cinematic villains as Goldfinger, Oddjob, Blofeld, Jaws, Patrice. What? The game finally has an actual boss fight as you shoot Patrice in a maze of glass walls with nothing but your starter pistol, but literally all you have to do is find a single pillar to use for cover, pop out and get a few shots off here and there until he dies. And that's it. The second half of the fight, he doesn't even move. I swear I'm not making that up. How is the actual boss fight even worse than the quick time event bullshit they've had till now? Move! Patrice dies. M calls Bond to apologize for getting him shot. Bond says it's fine because everyone does what they have to. In exchange, that's literally the polar opposite of their writing in the movie. And the game ends with Bond awaiting his next assignment. That's it. I would have just dropped a The Legend Continues title card with a trailer for Skyfall or something, but whatever. Just imply the entire movie's about Bond fighting some random hitman with no lines, I guess. Yeah, on that note, Eon Productions and Activision claimed that the Skyfall levels had to be held back to avoid spoiling the new movie. You fight one henchman that carks it in the first act. That's it. The Skyfall levels are blatantly phoned in crap that amount to less than half an hour of content. They just flat-ass weren't ready for launch. You're not fooling anyone! There's a little more game left, though. 10 challenge missions outside of the main campaign. The first one's a stealth mission where you spawn unarmed and all the weapons you can find have no ammo. Yeah, I just ran to the end, melee attacking everyone in my way for a crappy score. The second challenge, you play as Oddjob, like you can tell in first person, and it's an escort mission. First you guard a tank from non-stop rocket enemies with about 1/10 of the ammo that you need, and then it's basically just the Fort Knox level again. The third challenge is another escort where you protect 3 consoles, which is easy because the enemies keep attacking you instead of the objective. Mission 4 is just replaying a chunk of License to Kill, and Challenge 5 is mandatory stealth! Yeah, thank you. We're done here. 007 Legends is a mess, and most of its problems can just be laid at the feet of a publisher that gave Eurocom a ludicrously impossible task on an impossibly tight deadline. So everything was rushed top to bottom just to have something to ship. The AI is a joke, the shooting is a cakewalk, the level designs are mostly bland, the stealth doesn't work, but that's okay because it's completely pointless, but the absolute worst is the game's storyline that makes utter mincemeat of 6 different movies, abridged down to where they don't mean a damn thing. Again, I ask, who was this made for? The story is gibberish unless you're a Bond fan, but they change everything to alienate the Bond fans. The second Moonraker stage is legitimately creative and fun though, so the game's not a total loss, but you have to wade through a lot of bland crap to get to the sweets at the end. Seriously, just pick out literally any other James Bond game and steer clear of the
Terrors of the Library! It would just be lunacy to have two video games based on the same movie unless that movie is called frickin'... None of that went the way it was supposed to.